Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Stonehall Sports with me, LP Cruz. So it's been a minute. It's been a while since I last talked Cowboys here on the channel. A lot of things going on, a lot of different side projects, primarily the Freshman 15 college football podcast, my work over at Blogging the Boys. But I'm back to talk Cowboys football, scratch that, not college, but Cowboys football, and back to pregame another game on the schedule. And we have this week the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears are coming off a big win versus New England, the Pats. And of course, the Cowboys coming off another dominant defensive performance against the Lions. So tonight, what I wanted to do was kind of reach across the table, link up with a nice, great guest, my work over at Blogging the Boys, and help me break down this NFC pivotal matchup for us, at least. Tonight's guest is Mr. Tony Catalina. Tony, what's up, man?
Man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just relaxing, chill. The night before the game, getting the shakes out, getting excited because you know how we work. We gotta work the game. You know what I'm saying? So Tony, man, what I wanted to do was just kind of giving you a heads up is I wanted to kind of, as I do these previews and these game recaps, is talk to the guys over at BTB. I feel like we have a lot of information, a lot of news. So if you guys are not, if you're a Cowboys fan and you're not over at Blogging the Boys on the daily basis, all these podcasts, all these shows that Tony is on, I'm on every now and then. Tony's always writes something on Blogging the Boys. I would tell you as a Cowboys fan, head over to Blogging the Boys, check us out, check Tony out and the rest of the squad, because you will see them here on this channel at some point. So with the news and notes out the way, or the housekeeping out the way, Tony, let people know about you in more detail, man, because you do a lot of football stuff that people don't know about.
Yeah, man, I'm just put it simply, right? I'm just a football fan who just can't get enough of it. For me, it's when people say, what's the hobbies? My hobby is football, right? It's breaking it down. It's recovering it. It's watching it. So, for me, when it comes, August to February, I'm football 24/7, and even in the off season, I got the itch and I want it. So, I'm a football guy through and through, man.
So tell people about your football odyssey, because first off, man, how can we find you on Twitter as well?
Yeah. So on Twitter, you can find me at Tony_Catalina. And, my football story is interesting. I know, so I'm not telling you something that you don't know already. But, I come from a football family. My brother played football. He played, he played for the University of Rhode Island, played for the University of Georgia, played for the Washington team we don't speak of. So he ended up playing in the NFL for a few years. And, that's the one thing that people always ask me about is really, how did I handle my brother playing for Washington? And, how did that affect my fandom? And to be honest with you, I think that's when, I already knew I was a diehard Cowboys fan. I already knew where my loyalty lied. But when I'm sitting in that stadium, my brother's playing against, David Irvin and DeMarcus Lawrence and, having conversations with Sean Lee, it's, and I'm still sitting there rooting for the Cowboys. Now, obviously I'm a family man, Italian guy. So that's big to us. So I want my brother to play well, but I wasn't upset that the Cowboys took home that W and my brother still played pretty well. So, that's kind of what it is. I have a unique story, different background, but that's kind of a little bit of me.
That's real. That's blood. That's my brother's keeper, man. That's like your pin tweet. It's a great caption, man.
Got it tatted on me.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. So you have quite the unique football odyssey yourself. So kind of tell us about your football odyssey, Cowboys outside, but tell us about your football odyssey post-high school, all the work you've done in the trenches, sort of speaking, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got out of high school, I'm not an overly big dude. I'm on the smaller side. So I realized, and I was honest with myself, I wasn't going to play past high school. You know what I mean? So it just, for me, it was, how can I get into the game? So the first thing I did when I was 18 is I found a way to get into the game by being an official. So I started reffing the game in high school, doing Pop Warner games, high school games, just trying to get involved anyway to be, once you're in between those white lines, man, there's nothing like it trying to get back into that. So reffing the game became something I did. And then from that point, I was opportunity to coach the game. And for me, I've always been a student of the game. You're always learning something, always doing something different. But for me, it was always about trying to drop X and O's. So when I got an opportunity to be a coach, it was something I took and ran with. So I coached from 2014 to 2016. Right about that time is when my brother transferred over to the University of Georgia. And when he got an opportunity to go to the University of Georgia, I had an opportunity to go over there and work in the scouting department for, the Georgia football team. So for me now, I'm breaking down recruits, and, I'm going on recruiting visits with these kids, and, kind of being a liaison for these guys as they go to the University of Georgia. So I get to see a real deal D1 program and how they operate and work. So I have nothing but big respect for those guys and all the work that they do. So once that opportunity came, I was there for a year. I could have stayed, honestly. I think my brother always kicks me or says, like, why didn't you stay and kind of stick it out in there? But I went to Georgia with the sole opportunity or the sole idea that I was going to help my brother, whatever that looked like, whatever that ended up being, his football journey. I said, and I'm riding with you. So if we're leaving Georgia, I'm leaving with you. And, I made this opportunity. Well, you made it for me. And, I said I was coming with you, and that's what we're going to do. So when my brother got in the NFL, we went back to Massachusetts as he trained. And, that's kind of put me back on that plan to go and coach back in high school. But for me, really, once the coaching and stuff, and that's something I've always wanted to do, but it just became a commitment that I was either going to be able to make a full-time living on it, or I was going to have to find a healthy balance, right? So that kind of pivoted me into covering the game. It's something that I could monetize. It was something that I could make a future with, and kind of led me to Blogging the Boys. Now I work at New England Football Journal. So we were talking, in the pre-show, I'm working 6-7 days a week covering high school games, college games, the Cowboys. It's never not working, but at the same time, I love it. And honestly, I wouldn't change anything.
Agreed, man. Agreed. So that's the football life, man. You need to have your own documentary on NFL Network, Football Life. So speaking of our current Cowboys football life, tonight we have the Bears, right? So what I wanted to do was, and I know we get into breakdowns, we discuss an opponent every single day of the week on Blogging the Boys. We talk about it here in the group chat, Twitter, wherever. But for the people that might be still unfamiliar with the Bears, what I wanted to do was kind of have a synopsis a little bit, like a quick overview of the Bears. For those listening out there about this Bears, I want you to kind of explain your blind taste test with the Bears, where they currently sit as an organization, as a franchise, without getting too in depth, but give the people out there your brief taste test of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so the Bears, that if you know anything about the Bears over the last 10, 15, 20 years, you can kind of tell the story about this team now. New head coach, quarterback they're trying to make out and see if it works for him. Got a young kid who got some talent, right? They're going to have to put it together. They're going to put some pieces together. It's a team in this league that, has a little bit of talent, can scare you if you're not paying attention, but ultimately hasn't been able to do it at a consistent level. So I think if you talk about the Bears, it's about putting consistency, trying to take the good pieces. And honestly, if you think about the Bears, you can think about them kind of in the same vein as the Jets. And if that's kind of the trajectory you're on, you can look at the Jets and say they're 5-2. So maybe the Bears are a year or two out from that themselves.
I think it's all about Justin Fields, and I think you hit on the head. It's all about Justin Fields. It's a support system you have for quarterbacks. You talk about a couple years ago, I think a lot of it is where certain quarterbacks sit in the NFL, and the entire premise of the Bears, not just this game this Sunday, but their future, their prospects, is about Justin Fields, how you support him with help. And we've seen in the NFL, you have to incubate your quarterback, your young quarterback, with good help. Otherwise, they'll develop very bad habits. And you saw what happened with Goff in 2017, Carson Wentz in 2017, even Matt Stafford as a veteran with the Rams. You have to support your quarterback. So what happens to the Bears in the future is all about how you support this guy, Justin Fields. He's a great athlete, good arm, runs well. We're going to talk about his options. And so kind of segueing into this, the Bears. And on the channel, Tony, I always do this. I start with the Cowboys defense against the opposing offense, and we'll flip sides. So as customary, we'll start with the Bears O-line. Now, I don't know much about the Bears O-line. You're an O-line guy. All I know is that they're banged up. They're banged up. We got two starters who are on IR. A guy who was confirmed will not play, that being Larry Borom, their left tackle. So, Tony, is this Bears offensive line, if only on paper, are they that much outclassed by the Dallas defensive line?
I think it'd be tough not to say so. You know what I mean? They're an injured unit. They're already a unit that, if we're gonna be honest about it, is just a little bit devoid of talent too, right? They're just not all that complete up front. It makes for a tough situation, like you said, for a young quarterback. And Justin Fields feels like he's running for his life a lot. And if he didn't have the legs he did, it could be a lot worse sometimes. They got Riley Reif, who a former Minnesota Viking. Looks like he may get his first start for the organization at right tackle. Not a great opportunity when you got Micah Parsons and guys like that out there. So yeah, this Bears team, or I say O-line specifically, it's a challenge for that team, and it's something they're gonna have to work through. And it's definitely advantage Cowboys in that one.
Yeah. And has Reef played for every team in the North?
It seems like. I don't think he played for the Packers, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he started with the Vikings, the Bears. Yeah, you're right. He might be onto something there.
Well, the one thing with the Bears, right, just to give them kind of some punch on offense, and for me, it's their backs. I think that their biggest threat is their running backs. And I mean, I'll go first here, but out of the two Bears running backs, and we talk about the Cowboys having two good running backs, I think the Bears have two really good running backs, and they're used very well interchangeably. So for me, the question is, out of the two Bears running backs, which one do you find the most troublesome, David Montgomery or Khalil Herbert? I think it's Herbert. I think you can do so much with him. You can split him out wide. He's good in space. He can attack the edge. He has breakaway speed. He's also hokey. Shout out to my guys. Plus, I think with the Cowboys, how they defend the run on the edge, that might be maybe their weakness, maybe their problem. I think it takes a lot for even the LVE this week, is he's going to have to play big. And I think their biggest problem might be the number 2 back, only in name, Khalil Herbert. Your take?
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there. I mean, in the traditional sense, you say, okay, David Montgomery is going to get the bulk of the carries. He's a tough runner, runs hard in between the tackles, is able to break tackles, and he can make some big plays when given the opportunity. But on the other hand, like you said, Herbert, he can do multiple things. The Cowboys, and I think the NFL as a whole, really struggles with that speed guy, that guy that can really hit a home run. I mean, we have one of those on our own team, Tony Pollard. So with, those opportunities, given those chances, I think Herbert is somebody that the Cowboys should worry for. And wouldn't it be classic Cowboys if you think about all these other guys, and then it is Herbert that gashes them and kind of puts us in a tough situation on Sunday?
That's the history, right? Getting beaten by a backup running back. It happens. It does happen, but I do think he's one of those guys that they're going to feature a lot more, and we just have to kind of sustain our own weaknesses as well. Now, we talked about Herbert, right? We talked about the support system, not Herbert, I'm sorry, the support system for Justin Fields. With me, I feel like, and you may see it the exact same way, it's all about the skill guys too, because in the NFL, you still have to be able to maintain a passing attack or a threat of some sort. Now, with the guys on the outside, the weapons, if you will, and I'm going to combine the conversation into Fields and his outside weapons. I just feel like with the Bears, they're trying to put pieces together that don't fit for a young quarterback. That being given to him like a guy like, if Dante Pettis is starting at this stage in his career, it's not a good thing. Or a young third-round pick in Velus Jones, it's not a great option for a quarterback. So you look at the Bears, I don't see anyone on that side of the ball that scares me, and that would include a Darnell Mooney, who I think is a talented player, not a productive player. And even if he was open, I feel like the quarterback still can't hit him, sticking with the theme of you have to maintain a solid passing attack. Plus, I'm probably still on the points here, but you got Trayvon Diggs playing top flight football, maybe better than last year. I think he's just a top 5 defensive player maybe right now.
Yeah.
So, where do you see the Bears finding anything in their passing game to counteract us?
It's funny. I think you're right on the money there with the talent. I mean, I always, like you said, I'm an offensive line guy, so the talent starts up front. If you can't protect the quarterback, if you can't give him time to operate, it doesn't really matter who's out there. But now, if you couple that with the fact that the offensive line can't protect, and there isn't much out there for talent, like you said, Darnell Mooney got the skill, he just doesn't have the production. So, I think the challenge in this game for the Cowboys, if there's one way that the Bears can really take advantage, is when things break down and Justin Fields is able to get loose. And you know what I mean? If he's able to use his legs and win plays in a non-traditional sense and almost, just using his legs, that's where the Cowboys can be had a little bit. They're going to lock it down in the back end. They're going to be able to pass rush. But if they overcommit, if they over pursue and Justin Fields is able to break out the back door, I think that's where the Cowboys can be hurt. But it's going to take Justin Fields to kind of put the thing on his back for that to happen.
So now I discussed, and I have 2 questions for you, because I just discussed, and we talked about like a lot of the positive stuff, the sunshine and rainbows over over the Metroplex. So two things, though, that I have concern about, and I'm going to let you take the lead on both these questions. So I have two questions for you. The first thing you said was Justin Fields and the rushing attack that he provides, his rushing element. That's a great point. If you're the Cowboys and Dan Quinn, how do you counteract the running element of Justin Fields? And the second question is, that's not being talked about much because they don't have a potent passing attack, but now could be a problem. How do you also overcome the loss of Jordan Lewis?
It's a great question. I'll start with the first one. I think Jordan Lewis is one of those guys that, the Cowboys within the fan base have a few guys that they kind of victimize or kind of use in a kind of scapegoat kind of role. I think Jordan Lewis is one of those guys. If he's not the best player on the team, which we know he's not, but he's out there, he's steady, he's a quality player, he's got the tenacity, he's definitely like a Dan Quinn type of guy. He's got that attitude, he got that swagger. So losing Jordan Lewis is something we're gonna have to find out how much of an impact that is. But I'm encouraged by Deron Bland, see what he can do moving forward. But that, the first part of that is if you're going to stop Justin Fields, there's a couple of ways that I think you can possibly do it. I think early downs, Micah Parsons maybe plays that out off the ball linebacker, kind of a spy role. That's one opportunity. The other opportunity is they go that 3 safety set a lot. If it's Jaron Kearse, if it's Malik Hooker, if it's Donovan Wilson. I mean, even if Malik Hooker is down and it's going to be Izzy over there, I think they just need an athletic guy that can kind of match the athleticism and kind of be around there for Justin Fields. It doesn't have to be every single play, but when it's third and got to have it, or some distance type situations where he can get out and escape, I think they're going to have some eyes on him, because we talked about it. In the traditional sense, I think the Cowboys match up really well defensively against this Bears offense. And so I think the big plays and the opportunities are going to be far and few between for this Bears team. So it's going to have to be focusing on Justin Fields and his feet and how they can stop that attack.
I agree, man. Great point. So we're going to jump sides to our offense versus the Bears defense. And I don't want to bury the lead here because the Bears lost a significant fear factor, if you want to call it that, with trading away Robert Quinn. Just for context sake, right? The Bears that I saw are 28th in the league worst in sacks with only 12. In context, the Cowboys are more than double that with first at 29 sacks. So I'm trying to be fair because I know I smashed on the Bears a lot. I really dug into the Bears. But what can they possibly do to make Prescott, the passer, uncomfortable? Because it seems a bit weak. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's going to be funny. I don't even know what's the best way to attack them, right? I think if you look at the Cowboys, and maybe this week specifically, all indications that Ezekiel Elliott isn't going to play. So do the Bears lean on that and say, and I think this is the wrong way to do it, but what would the Bears do? Do they play coverage and shell coverage and allow that the Cowboys try to beat you on the ground, or do they kind of stuff the box and say Dak Prescott beat us with your weapons? Either way, I think the Cowboys are well equipped to do it, but it's going to be interesting to see what they come out there and attack. And I think, and just like I do, last year everybody thought they had the recipe on this Cowboys offense with the Vic Fangio and Denver Broncos theory. I think, and I tend to think that teams are going to attack that way until they can stop it. But an interesting fact I actually spoke about this week with some Bears bloggers is obviously Justin Fields in this offense is not the Philadelphia Eagles, but they have some elements that are intriguing that kind of translate to the Eagles. They could use that RPO, put the Cowboys in conflict where, you could crash down on the quarterback, or you're going to have to decide if you're going to go for the running back. And if you don't play it right and correctly, they can dump it over the top to a streaking wide receiver behind that coverage. So it's interesting that if the Bears have that in their arsenal and they're able to produce that talent-wise, with an athletic quarterback, a mobile quarterback, there is a possibility that the Cowboys can be attacked defensively.
Gotcha. I think we missed the boat about the Cowboys offense. So
yeah.
That's a great point, though.
I know. Yeah, I know. I just kind of think about that. I want to get that point in there. That's my bad, though.
I like it though, man. I like it though. So here's one thing too, right? Speaking of Zeke, because we talked about Zeke, kind of been dancing around the Zeke conversation, and it's this, right? So from the reports that we're getting, right, Zeke is not going to play. You feel pretty confident saying he's out?
Yeah, they brought up a third running back from the practice squad, and nobody, over the last couple of years has played with a doubtful tag for the Cowboys. So
it's not happening. Okay, all right. So I will not be starting him tomorrow. So here's how it goes, right? So it looks like it's going to be the Tony Pollard show. and I know what he's talked about. I think I saw the article from Archer today saying that he's ready for the workload, a full like assortment of, or full, I mean, just the bulk of the carries should go to Tony Pollard. And the fans have been wanting this forever, and we know the fan base wants to see more Pollard. I want to see more Tony. Do you want to go that route? Do you think it's good to give him a full workload in the same capacity? And I don't mean in the same usage. I don't mean as far as on the exterior. I mean, really, do you want to just give him a full workload? He is Zeke. You're giving him carries. I mean, between duo blocks, dive runs. Are you for that with Pollard?
It's something they haven't done yet. So I'm intrigued and I want to see it because, we're going to go the whole rookie contract without seeing what Tony Pollard is absolutely capable of. That's an interesting thing. So I think this game is setting up to be a huge game for Tony Pollard in his career. I think he's going to get paid and I think he's going to end up somewhere else. That's my opinion. I think Tony Pollard is going to sign a contract and be somewhere else other than Dallas. But I think this is the game that he gets, 20 plus carries. He's able to tote the rock and show that he's that complete back. And I think if he doesn't, it will kind of only open more dialogue and conversation between the Zeke and Tony Pollard dynamic, which, for the record, I think they're perfectly 1-2 punch. I think they work together in harmony. I don't want to see one of the two without each other. I think what they have works. I think it's a nice mix between the two. But, when injuries happen and you force yourself in these situations, I am intrigued to see how Tony Pollard, the athlete and the running back, can really kind of work with those.
I think for this week, I'm good with giving him the full workload, but I don't think we need to smash him in the middle. I don't think we need to run him downhill into the box as much. I feel like let him be who he is. Like you said, in the way that they're used as a 1-2 punch, sure, give him more carries, give him more snaps. I don't have a problem with that. I think he had more snaps than Zeke anyway last week, and that was withstanding an injury. Zeke plays his normal snaps no matter what. That's not a big thing. But to see him actually out-snap Zeke is one thing. And right. I think you can still do that. You can still play him if he has 70% of the snaps. I'm okay with that, but I want to see him get to the outside. We know who Tony is. Let Tony be Tony. Make Roquan Smith run across sideline to sideline. Make him do what he does best. If you think you want to do it 10 times a game, go right ahead. But let Tony do his thing, run him outside or the outside zone, and let him work. And I think that's the way you're most successful. And I think you're so right about that. Like, it's a career-defining game for Pollard for his pockets. It's Pollard for pockets, Pollard for profit. This is the game for him. And I think the team will look at that and say, well, if he does the dirty work like Zeke would, getting the dirty yards, maybe we should pay him. Not just Tony, now you say that, what about Zeke? Do we finally see the valuation? Do we know that, we're in good hands by letting Zeke walk away? It's not talked about enough, but that could be it. Maybe that's the confirmation we need. Or maybe Tony has a bad game between the tackles and all of a sudden he lowers his own value for us to keep him. I'm not gonna lie to you, I want to keep the guy.
I do too. I mean, for the record, if there's any way financially to make it work to keep both these guys in the backfield, I'm for it. Like, I really do love the marinate of the two together. I just think it would work. But you're right. This could go one of two ways. It's so fascinating because we know people that are big on the Tony Pollard hype train, and then there are guys that, like ourselves, that want to see it. I think Tony Pollard's a great football player. I'm super intrigued to see what happens, but I think a lot could be answered this Sunday.
I would tag him, really. I mean, let's say the tag was $9.5 million, I'm tagging that guy, and that's me. That's how I feel about it because good playmakers are valuable to have, and his skill set, his particular skill set, is valuable. And I know we're talking off-season stuff and whatever, but I do firmly believe once you gave Devontae Turpin that contract for 3 years and you removed Pollard as a kick returner, you said, no, this man's valuable. So to me, it's like you follow the breadcrumbs. If a guy is so valuable in his contract year, why do you take him away out of what he does best for you as a returner and then pay his replacement a 3-year contract? So I think they're invested in him enough. So this is a game they all kind of want to see. And I guess maybe the veil of it's a bye week for Zeke, get Zeke right 100%. You guys kind of want to see what he's got to against a lesser opponent who gave away their best pass rusher. You want to see what they have. So I think that's where it is. And I know it's not a glorified preseason game because the Bears are a pro team too. So here's what the Bears I think have a shot. And the Bears may have even footing in this game, which might mean bad news for guys like CeeDee Lamb, for example, or Michael Gallup. So the Bears, I think their best shot is their secondary. I think their best core right now is their secondary. And people don't know much about him except for one guy. People know about Eddie Jackson. He's been named a Pro Bowler, Players Top 100. People know who he is. He's been around. He's been all pro. He's done a lot in the NFL. With the Bears, though, who I think they have an improving secondary, who was a player in the secondary that people don't know about, but they should? And why does he pose a problem for the Cowboys this week?
If they don't know about him, they're not draft guys like us. But Jaquan Brisker is a playmaker. That guy, he's a problem. You saw him making plays last week against the Patriots. He's somebody that, he snatched that interception. That was super impressive, but he was flashing in other ways too. Like he's blitzing, he's picking up sacks, he's, tackles for loss. He's a guy that's a really tough football player. He's able to play the run and the pass. And if you don't know Jaquan Brisker, it's only a matter of time that you're really going to find out about this kid. Rookie from Penn State. He's a guy that if the Cowboys drafted safeties, I was all in on having him, but they don't really go that route. But yeah, honestly, that's the part about football, being a football fan, is you want the Cowboys to win, but there's some guys that you really like through the draft process that you get to see in play. And I think Jaquan Brisker is one of those guys I'm super intrigued to see how he pans out.
It's funny because you thought about him. I thought about the other rookie, Kyler Gordon. And if you don't know Kyler Gordon, you should watch him. So he's the rookie from, I believe, the first round pick, if I'm correct.
I believe so, yeah.
First round pick cornerback from UW, Washington. Shout out to you, Cam, if you're watching out there, your Huskies. That guy has been taking his lumps a lot as a rookie, but every single week you see him get better and better and better and better. And he competes, he's chippy, he's aggressive, and you can start to see his football brain develop already, where it's starting to find that zen, that zone where he's into, where he's starting to see the game a lot better and understand it better. And I think that guy poses a problem for Dallas because I think he's a tough draw for CeeDee Lamb. I do. I think he's a tough draw for CeeDee Lamb. And I think he can actually create some problems for Lamb and just kind of throw his timing off a little bit. I think Dak is still looking to hit that big throw, that big play to him. But I think this guy, Kyler Gordon, could be a problem and a pain in your backside if you test him one too many times. So that's the guy that I'm thinking of. So even with that said, right, I want to think about the approach in this game of Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott. We saw Dak last week. Dak came back last week. Dak was good. I mean, to the naked eye, the eye test, if you will, to the naked eye, it didn't look that impressive. But the numbers, the advanced analytics, the EPA that we always talk about, that we always argue about, was good. That was good. Still, if you remember that Rocky movie, that line with Apollo Creed, he's like, I won, but I didn't beat him. Like, that's what I think Dak is thinking in his head. He's like, I won that game, but I didn't beat them. I didn't beat their asses. And this is an opponent where you can really beat their asses if you're right. But measuring that, and I think it's a collaborative effort of Dak and Kellen Moore, how would you approach this game? Should you be more aggressive to where you actually beat them, you knock them out, or do you kind of stick and move the way they're trying to play you with that shell coverage? Do you try to be more aggressive? Do you kind of scale it back? Do what they kind of take what they give you and just play to the Bears' weakness of just, let's run the ball, let's be on the edge, let's make them work, and let's just kind of take our time? How would you play that if you're Dak and Kellen Moore?
I believe Dak Prescott when he says that he just cares about W's, right? He was saying all week that he was like, if we won that game and I didn't score any touchdowns, didn't throw any touchdown passes, I'm cool with that. I believe that because that's the type of guy he is. So my answer kind of is in touch with that when I say, take it how you get it, right? You know what I mean? If they're gonna play, soft coverage, run the football down their throat. If they're gonna play up in the box, let Dak try to beat you. So it's gonna be different, right? Because on paper, if both teams are who they are, the Cowboys should be able to run away. But Dalton Schultz is a little banged up. Ezekiel Elliott's not gonna play. Noah Brown's very iffy. So now your third receiver looks to be Jalen Tolbert, Kamati Turpin. I think between the two of them, they might have 2 completions all year to them. So there is some opportunity where if guys don't step up, this game could be dicey. Now, how long is it dicey for? Is it for a quarter? Is it the whole game? Like, you really hope it isn't. But we've seen Cowboys lose football games like this when we've had the same rhetoric and talk about it like this. And we've also seen the Bears team go into New England, punch them in the mouth on a Monday Night Football game. So you know how it is when you play against the Cowboys. Teams get up for that. It may be a noon kick, maybe a 1 o'clock kick, but the Cowboys might come out sleepwalking, and the Bears might find a way to be juiced up because they're playing America's team. So there's just a lot of variables and elements to make this a unique game. Now, all that being said, the Cowboys should take care of business, but we'll see how it goes down.
I think just the approach, and I think knowing who the guy is coming in, right? You have Matt Eberflus coming in, a disciple of Rod Marinelli. First, Rob Ryan, but a disciple of Rod Marinelli, and you know what they like to do. The soft zone coverage kind of lets you kind of hang yourself with enough rope. If you want to be really hard on yourself and force the envelope. I think in this game, you kind of just take your time, take what they give you, you kind of move the chains along, and just let Tony do the work for you. Let him handle his business, and you'll be fine. I think that's the best thing you could do. And I think we're both feeling really good about this game. I'm feeling confident about the game. You're feeling confident about the game.
Yeah.
So finally, if you can, pick a player of the game, your player of the game, and the final score in this game.
All right, yeah. So my final score of the game, I've been consistent. I'm going to stay with it. I think the Cowboys win 31-17. I think this is the game that now that's giving credit too. The Cowboys don't give up 2 touchdowns, but once to the Eagles, and that took 4 turnovers to that to happen. So for me to say the Bears are going to score 2 touchdowns and a field goal, I think the Bears are going to come out and play the best that they possibly can. I think the Cowboys are going to score 31, and it's going to be in the 30s for the first time. I just think Dak Prescott's going to find his rhythm much quicker than he did last week. I think, he's going to be up there and go out there and be able to play his style of football, his game, whatever it may be like. And, with some injuries and some opportunities to elevate his team, I think Four will do that. So I'm confident. And, if I'm going to get my game ball, I think it's going to be Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard's going to go and I think he's going to make some money this week. I think he understands the opportunity as much as we do, and I think he runs with it.
So I think, and this is me throwing this out there, I think it's Dalton Schultz for me. And I think because Dak is going to find that connection again with Dalton Schultz, they're going to be patient. They're going to just take what's there. It's not going to be a game where he kind of goes off the charts like that, but I can see 7 catches, 70 yards, a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns, just him kind of out there. And we do have jokes about Dalton Schultz, the Twitch stuff, the gaming stuff. But let's not get it twisted. The guy, since he's been hurt, he's been gutting it out there, trying to play despite the knee injury. And he's fighting through it. And I think he knows what's also behind him. He can see the 2 guys behind him breathing down his neck. Those guys are the 2 most popular guys on the team this year. Honestly, and it's weird for tight ends to be like that, but those 2 are.
They got a little swagger about them.
They do, and they're fan favorites, man. People love them. And hey, so do I. I'm not gonna lie. But I'll give Dalton his due. I think Dalton gets his due this week, and I think he'll go off, kind of get his mojo back a little bit. So I think start him in fantasy, guys. Start Dalton Schultz. That's my word, but I think he's going to be your player of the game, just on circumstance. I think Cowboys win comfortable, and I'm saying a score of 24-13.
That's not bad. Yeah, like I said, for me, that 30 number is the number that I've just kind of been hanging on because they haven't hit it yet. And with Dak Prescott, I think they're going to elevate, right? They maxed out at 25 with Cooper Rush. I think they can get one more with Dak Prescott out there, and I think it's a good opponent to try to get that.
I think you can do it. The defense will contribute to that. I think if you hit 30, it's because the defense got either, or you know what? To be honest, maybe a special teams, maybe Devontae Turpin. It's going to happen from one of those other cases. He's this close. It's close. And I think that grouping together, the complementary football, you're starting to see it. This is a collaborative team. And I slam on the front office a lot for their choices and their decisions, but they cut guys off so that they can be closer. Like, I got away from you so that we can be closer as one. And it's been real. It's working. I mean, you won games with a backup quarterback. The quarterback feels more confident. They feel more command. The head coach has actually been more assertive as a leader. Imagine that. So I feel like they've done the right thing. So I don't like the front office. I don't like the mouth they have, but they put their money where their mouth is, and the money's actually cashing out. So I like it so far. I do.
Yeah, me too. I totally agree.
Man, so this was a great show, man. We got to do this again. I got to keep reaching over to the well, man. BTB guys, man, please holla at me. We can do this a lot.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
So Tony, man, before we slide up out of here, any last thoughts? And before we get out of here, man, where can we find you and all the work you do, man? Twitter and all your stuff, man. A lot of going on for you, I know.
Yeah, you can find me at Tony_Catalina on Twitter. If Division I football within this region of New England, but where my heart lies is with blogging the boys. I'm dropping articles, podcasts all day, every day, pretty much. We keep the content going every single day, all day. But yeah. My final thoughts is I think there's a real good opportunity for this team to be 6-2, get healthy in the bye, and really everything in front of them with 2 more NFC North opponents, 2 winnable football games. But this Cowboys team, I think we should get excited, man. I think there's a lot of pessimism around this fan base, but if this defense continues to play at their level and the offense elevates, this team can do some things, man. I'm not just saying that.
You know it, man. You know it. But guys, man, that's been the show for the night. That's been our preview of Cowboys Bears. For my guest, Tony Catalina, I am LP Cruz. See us at Blogging the Boys. Come holla at us. Come rock with us at BTB. We're everywhere. But as always, Cowboys up. Peace.